everyday life. And the real question before us is not only what AI can achieve, but how it can serve society in fair, inclusive, and accountable ways. So, as India advances towards the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, technology must strengthen trust between citizens and institutions and ensure that the progress reaches everyone. Now, today we bring together experts from policy, technology, law, economics, healthcare, and academia to think through this shared responsibility. We are deeply grateful to our convener and co-conveners, Senior Professor Rekha Saxena ma'am, Professor Sanjeev Kumar HM, Professor Vipin Tiwari, for helping us materialize this idea. Now, I welcome our HOD and Senior Professor Rekha Saxena ma'am to officially welcome our speakers.
Distinguished guests, respected panelists, colleagues, and my dear students, a very good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all of you. On behalf of the Department of Political Science, University of Delhi, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this roundtable on AI for all, India's policy architecture for public interest, AI and inclusive development. We have gathered today at Bharat Mandapam to represent dialogue, exchange, and forward thinking. And it is therefore, I would say a very fitting venue for a conversation about artificial intelligence, which is rapidly reshaping how we live, how we govern, and how we even think. So artificial intelligence is no longer a distant promise. It is already present in our institutions, in our markets, in everyday decisions. It influences how public services are delivered, how information circulates, how risks are assessed, and how opportunities are distributed. So in short, AI is not just a technological development, but I would say a structural feature of modern society. And that is precisely why our conversation today is very important. So the central question before us is not simply, what AI can do, but what it should do, and under what institutional, ethical, and policy frameworks. So technological progress, if it is left unguided, it does not automatically produce social justice or democratic accountability. So these must be consciously designed into the system of governance. So this roundtable therefore, invites us to think of AI not only as an innovation, but as public policy, not only as efficiency, but as responsibility, not only as growth, but as inclusion. So we are especially fortunate to have with us a very distinguished and diverse group of speakers whose expertise, spans global governance, industry, technology, public policy, and academia. So their presence reflects a very important truth, meaningful conversations about AI, that it cannot happen without disciplinary silos. So we have to come out of that disciplinary silos. And we are really honored to have representation from UN Women reminding us that technological futures must remain attentive to equity and social inclusion. We are joined by leaders from innovation and corporate sectors, including Deloitte India, TennyCheck, whose work really demonstrates how data-driven systems are transforming economic and institutional practices. So at the same time, we are deeply enriched by the presence of the academic colleagues from Delhi University, my colleague Professor HM Sanjeev, who is the co-convener, and Professor Vipin Tiwari, and colleagues from institutions like Hansraj College, Hindu College, among other scholars, across disciplines within our own university. Their participation ensures that our discussion remains grounded in critical reflection, in theoretical clarity, and intellectual responsibility. So today's theme is particularly significant in the context of developmental aspirations. Now, as India moves forward towards an ambitious, and transformative dream of Viksit Bharat 2047, the challenge before us is clear. How do we harness technological capability while safeguarding democratic values? How do we design policy framework that promote innovation without deepening inequality? And how do we ensure AI strengthens public institutions rather than bypassing them? So these are not merely technical questions, but deeply political, ethnic, and institutional questions. Now, equally important is the need for dialogue. And AI governance, I would say, cannot be shaped by technologists alone, nor by policymakers alone, or academicians alone. So it must emerge from continuous engagement, across sectors, and be informed, be reflective, and participatory. So public trust in emerging technologies depends not only on what systems do, but on how transparency and responsibility, they are designed, and how they are responsible and designed and governed. So I hope.
Already running out of time. We are
Yeah.
going to listen to the speakers. If you can cut it short, to make it more productive, please.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So before I invite, I want to introduce my speakers. Thank you so much. And I think already it's there in the program. So I welcome all the speakers. Ms. Sudeshna Mukherjee, Mr. Sudhir Goenka, Mr. Udit Goenka, Mr. Ashish Abrol, Dr. Ankit Rajpal, Divyam Sharma, Dr. Sudeep Rajkumar, Dr. Animish Naskar, Dr. Supreet Kaur, Anirudh Gupta. Thank you so much. And also you should have some courtesy if the speaker, I was just about to conclude. Yeah.
In 20 minutes. That's the courtesy I have already shown you.
So it was just not even 5 minutes. Okay. 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 Thank you so much.
We are stating the obvious.
No, that's very rude. Please have some manners.
Ma'am, my manners are showing there. In 20
Brother, please listen. Excuse me. Bye. Brother, please listen.
How to talk to women.
We have not especially. Brother, bye. Ma'am,
You have nothing, right? So
see.
from here then.
Okay, it's okay. Let's start.
Okay, yeah. This is very unfortunate, but it's okay. We cannot control everyone's mind. Now I'd like to invite Professor Sanjeev HM to moderate this session. Please welcome. Sir.
Okay, we are already running out of time. हमारे आदरणीय यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जी मोदी जी ने हम सबके हृदय में एक सपना जागृत किया है विकसित भारत का, तो उसी पे we will be discussing today, and we have 3 or 4 sectors of speakers ranging from academia to industry to innovation and public policy and also international institution. So let me moderate this in terms of beginning with the basic. Will AI, what we think of AI is all about computers and softwares and quantum theory. That is where I want to bring in Ankit Raj. So after that, I will give around 4 to 5 minutes to Ankit, and then we'll take it from there. Ankit?
Thank you, Professor Sanjeev. It's my privilege speaking on this topic. So when we talk about this public interest AI, whenever these policies are made, this is made for with the intent of asking or giving the answer to these questions, that what are these policies meant for whom, by whom, and how are these going to be implemented. So when I just see the people who are sociologists and are speaking on this particular thing, I hear a very beautiful kind of quote which says that technology is not neutral. It mirrors the system that creates it. So rightly mentioned by Professor Ruha Benjamin that AI should mirror the constitutional values, not the inherent bias in it. So for example, when I say bias, any policy which has to reach to the stakeholders, that needs a proper implementation, and if the data is not analyzed properly, so that data is of waste. And if that data will be analyzed but late, then also it's going to be of no use. So the use of AI is going to bring a change. And of course, these policies from the data from Niti Aayog, UIDI AI, and when I say the data from MITI, that can actually bring the change in the policy making. And not only this policy making, but also to remove this bias. And in healthcare, when I see the healthcare sector, for example, if the system and the existing systems apply the, or I can say, decides the medical treatment plan for an individual based on the insurance policy or any other thing, our AI system should not mimic the same. So what we want, that even in AI in healthcare, or if AI in agriculture, it should be able to give timely decision to the farmers. And one easy example which we can see with the use of Bhashini, recent addition to the National Language Mission. And what is the intent? Intent is that it should promote the multilingualism, that there should not be any obstacle to any particular the person who is not well literate, and so the person is not deprived of using these government policies because of the complex forms and all these things. So multilingualism we have seen coming from the Bhashini, and the basic usage of this particular tool in the Odisha, when I can just quote that particular thing, that is, in Odisha, the farmers earlier were not able to use those policies which were implemented by the by government. And why it was not? Because there was different languages with which they were not, I can say, the familiar of. So thanks to Bhashini, which has brought a lot of change. But yes, we should not forget about the ethical aspects of the AI. For example, when I say the explainable AI, so the everything which AI does, it should be well explainable, so that a person who is not who is said by the system that that this particular policy is not implemented or not for you, it should be it should be explaining you why that decision. And other way around, it should be accountable also, because when we see the example that when you lose your money, maybe for any cyber fraud or something like that, when you go to the banker versus you ask AI, when do I get my money back? When the banker says that you will get money in next 15 days, and versus the AI says, you still believe the banker. So that brings empathy, because in AI, this empathetical aspect is missing. So with my aspect, if we want to grow in this AI field, we should, this public interest AI should, will be able to fulfill the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 only if it is implemented by taking all stakeholders at one place, and of course giving the explainable, reliable and accountable AI for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ankit. Acha, Sudeep is here. Sudeep? Okay, he's not here. Professor Tiwari, Vipin Tiwari? He's not here. Okay, so now let me invite my... Now only? तो वैसे ही टाइम कम है. ग्रुप फोटो मैम, ग्रुप फोटो के लिए कह रहे हैं यहीं पे. अच्छा, ये यहीं पे ग्रुप फोटो बस बैठ जाए. यस, खड़े होके सर. यस प्लीज. खड़े होके. या
That's okay. Once AI comes, all these hiccups will not happen. Automatically, a picture will be taken by the other. So don't worry. That's why we are working towards it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now I invite to give you an economic perspective, my friend Animesh, because computers will work only with economics. So how would we see our economic policies in future for 2047? Over to you, Animesh.
Hello. Thank you, Professor Sanjeev, inviting me to give me an opportunity to send my message to this place. Actually, then when we discuss about the economic perspective of AI, I will focus on 2 to 3 things. One is that, closed AI and open AI. Closed versus open, because when we talk about the closed AI, just like open AI, chat GPT, Gemini, these are closed AI. The problem is that if we allow closed AI to grow, and obviously it will grow definitely, but there will be a concentration of power. And then that this concentration of power will actually create a huge inequality in the society. And in the other perspective is simultaneously, if we allow the open AI systems, where actually the open source, you can develop your program and all such things, there is a problem, the security issue. There is a challenge between these two things, but when we consider is that a public good, so obviously there should be thing is that should be inclusive. Now we have to channelize this technology, because this technology has no fault. Any technology, any invention has no fault. The problem is that how you will use this technology. So when we talk about the regulation, when we talk about the policy framework, and when we consider as a public good means obviously the two principal characteristics, non-rivalry, excludability. That means it is for everyone. You cannot exclude anyone. You cannot, whatever the service will be provided, it will be used equally by everyone. So how it is possible? So in that context, first we have to, reduce or minimize the digital divide. If there is a digital divide, so, it will actually foster the inequality. But if we are able to reduce the digital divide, we can reduce the inequality through this AI technology. Because, the AI has a potentiality to the solve of asymmetric information. Because the party which has, even think about, when we discuss about the public goods or even in a private goods also, the market fails because of this asymmetric information. One party has more information, one party has less information. AI can remove these things. Now I come to the welfare perspective and policy perspective of AI. So in this context, my policy objective is packed into the word which is given by our Honorable Prime Minister, because this period is Amrit Kal or Viksit Bharat. If I decode the word Amrit Kal, these 9 letters, so my policy is basically kept into this. That is age of mobilizing research, innovation, technology, knowledge, artificial intelligence, and able leadership. So if we go by each of these words, we understand that what our policy should be. Because, if you see in research perspective, it's a very pathetic picture, because if we compare with our global competitors, our R&D expenditure is only 0.6% of our GDP. While in case of China, you can find out 2.2% of their GDP. Even in South Korea, Israel, their research R&D expenditure 3.5, more than that. Even USA also is the highest one. So we have to focus on research, because AI is not replacing job. AI is redesigning the landscape of the job. Okay, the nature of the job. So here that when the technological disruption takes place.
30 seconds.
Okay. Sorry. So we need to reformulate, so that all the section of the people can get the benefit out of it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have the ugly job of moderating. It's a tough task. Now I invite a perspective for global governance, Ms. Sudeshna Mukherjee. 5 minutes for you, Sudeshna ji.
Hello.
Hi, is this better? Okay. So, yeah, I guess you all have been hearing a lot of policies and a lot of, rule making around AI and also the innovation side. So, without further ado, I would like to share a few quick, very practical examples and globally, starting with how many of you in this room have heard of Invisible Women, the book? Can I see a show of hand? Oh, wow. Very bleak. I would highly recommend by Caroline Perez. It's a brilliant book on how systems are and data biases come into play. So AI, unlike popular understanding, is not really a very new concept. And so it's been about 50, 60 years it's been in the making. But it's in different forms that it has been there, mostly in the systems at a systemic level. Now, with generative AI since 2022, OpenAI brought in that whole revolution by launching ChatGPT, and it became a household name. But even before that, be it in when Google launched its search engine, you would have sentences being completed. That's one form of artificial intelligence. We would always wonder, oh my God, it can almost read my mind. So artificial intelligence is almost like that, which reads your mind. So now, when as a person coming from an organization whose mandate is gender equality, I wanted to shed light on how biases come into play. So Invisible Women talks about the case of how public transport was manufactured keeping men in mind, because the test dummy that is being used typically was using a male body type. So similarly, in several of us, at least I feel, when we are in air-conditioned rooms, we feel cold because it typically took a white male 40-year-old body type into consideration. So when systematically it's women who are not even considered during the design process, because in the 60s, typical offices had men instead of women working. Therefore, models, systems were not taking women into consideration. So similarly, when artificial intelligence, and it's not just gender bias, but somebody mentioned disability, caste, all those systemic biases, then they get, just like the idea of AI being, a leveler, it also can create these discrimination or biases manifold. So I would say, as a global policy making institution, it's important that we take into consideration what are the very gendered, use a gendered lens in policy making, take into consideration these systems, these processes, these new technologies that are coming out. How are women in particular being impacted? So my quick two things, and I know time is short, is mandatory impact assessment, which by that I mean, it should not be post facto.
Sudeshna ji, 30 seconds.
Sure.
30 seconds.
So one is, of course, like I said, impact assessment. The second is getting women at the design table. So I think with that said, whenever it's very encouraging that we are here for the next 5 days, we are going to hear lots of policymakers. But keep in mind that every target group has its own needs, and we need to take that into consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. AI and commerce have become a very deadly combination because of the flip side of it. But anyway, we will know this. I want to invite Supreet for giving us this perspective.
Thank you, sir. I'm audible? Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. From the lens of finance, I see public interest AI as a fiscal bridge to Viksit Bharat 2047. Now, when I say this fiscal bridge, that means that is anchored on 5 foundational pillars, which are transparency, inclusivity, equity, accountability, and sustainability. And these are the pillars which can modernize this fiscal architecture. Right. So when I see finance being the bedrock of your nation building, be it every activity, be it infrastructure projects, be it your welfare schemes, that depends on to 2 major variables, which is your revenue generation and expenditure efficiency. Now, strengthening onto these 2 variables without eroding the public trust, that is a very key challenge when we are talking about this journey towards 2047. And this is precisely where we can see that public interest AI becomes transformative. Because how does it help? It will help model the, you could say, policy outcomes, which will, eliminate duplicacies, which will, you could say, simulate the directional effect before the implementation of the policies, which will predict the models, which will see into where are the lags, which will, when we talk about with the respect of financial inclusion, which will deepen this financial inclusion and will see that how to reduce this credit gaps, how to fill this, this very gaps in terms of the leakages. So I'll give you one simple example of your DBT. DBT is linked with this JAM Trinity. And you know how much did it help to save out? 3.48 lakh crores. So that is an amount which is in trillions. So this is with the JAM Trinity, which is nothing but a public interest AI being used into the same. And thereby we are not just, saving that much, whopping amount, but also able to reduce the cost, that is expenditure, from 16% to 9%. So herein where we see this public interest AI amalgamation, this convergence taking place on real grounds. Right. Further, when we talk about the inclusivity parameter, so we see that vernacular AI assistance into your tax and compliance frameworks, which is there into your GSTN, wherein your GST network is able to red flag higher risky transactions. It is able to detect the anomalies into your data taxes, right? So this is how it will bring your fiscal efficiency, right? And also when we are talking about eliminating all these bogus entities, it is going to strengthen your fiscal space. So this way, what we are building on to, that this transparency will build the trust, trust will bring the compliance, and compliance will lead to development. And this is where we say that, this public, this very, your tool, it is not just a mere tool of revenue extraction, but to be seen as a structural enabler of your greater, you could say, compliance or a simpler compliance, fairness, enabling participatory policies, and finally, the welfare optimization. And this is what is the essence of your Viksit Bharat 2047. Thank you.
So let's get a perspective from innovation. I would like to invite Anirudh.
Thank you. Am I audible? Okay. So I have worked nearly 18 years in the industry, different types of clients, have been working with the policymakers also, have worked with many of the captives unit, have worked with some of the consulting organizations. And first of all, why we are discussing this topic today, right? Why public interest AI is so important right now? Because AI is no more a futuristic lab experiment stuff, right? It is already there in everyone's hand. You can do lots of things with AI in your mobile, right? And that's where it is very important to talk about the public interest AI at this moment. And for those who want to be very sure what is public interest AI, it is like how you use AI for better, larger good, societal good, right? And most of the time, what happens? The masses are ignored by AI. Like as Sudeshna ma'am was also saying, there are AI which are biased, who are not considering women, right? Similarly, there are biases for not only gender, but ethnicity and multiple other criterias. So that's why this topic is very important to discuss currently. So I also did some study on this, and for me, I will architect my answer or my submission to this discussion in this way. First, we have to understand if we really want to have an inclusive development and public interest AI, what are the gaps? Because only if we understand what are the gaps, we will be able to talk about that what we should do. And there are several things like data and infrastructure, and that is where we will need the policy makers, the organization, and the academia, all three to come together. And that's why if you see this panel is very, very beautifully curated to cover all these three aspects. Then talents and skill gaps. And that is where some of the, let's say the NGOs, the social aspects, apart from these three are also involved. And then I got to know that there are some students here. So an effort from your side is also required, right? And then regulatory and governance, because there has to be a common AI policy framework which should be there, which can be followed. Because most, as you know, when the AI came, the digital arrest, the various scams also stepped in, right? So there is very easy to create a policy, but it is even easier to create a loopholes in the policy. So that's why we should have, let's say, AI policy labs which will be taking care of all these stuffs. Then obviously taking care of the biases, etc. And to tackle all this, because I am seeing the time also, so we like what I thought that we should have some things at a state level and at a national level, something like AI policy labs, where there are policy makers, there are representatives from the academia and the corporate who comes together and who ensures that a proper social impact assessment has been done whenever an AI solution is getting implemented. They also see that there is a coverage of all the biases, everything is being taken care on. Then there are a lot of data which will get registered when we when we talk about the public interest AI. So there has to be proper gatekeepers for ensuring that the data is correctly used. It is used for the intended purpose also. It should not be like you say that, okay, the purpose is X, but it is getting used for X, Y, Z, right? So that is another. And then there has to be a National AI Ethics Council and citizen grievance portal. So AI Ethics Council, which will decide that what are the, like it will take care of the biases, and it will also decide what are do's and don'ts while we create AI for the larger good, right? For example, when I have worked with one of the state government, we get access to lot of healthcare data.
30 seconds, Anirudh.
Okay,
30 seconds.
thanks, sir. So I'll summarize that. So in grievance redressal, we should have an option for the public also to give their feedback, because then only these things will get improved. And we should start with creating a sandbox kind of a structure where while we are experimenting, the public also gets option to give their feedback, and it is a closed loop, right? And at the end, I would also say that Deloitte India has opened a new, has launched a new platform called GenW AI, which is also being showcased here. So please go and have a look there. Our CEO Nitin Kini has launched it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, does, like you were talking about AI Ethics Council, ethics, philosophy, academia, quantum theory, like we have Sudeep here. Sudeep, 5 minutes for you. AI, philosophy.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you to the organizers. Glad to be here since I almost missed it. I guess Google still can't predict the ways I can get late. So there's still work to be done there. I teach philosophy at Hindu College, so my reflections are on AI and humanities, specifically philosophy. So I'll make 4 quick points. The first point which I want to make is a stronger coupling of humanities and technology. The reason I'm saying this is that already in disciplines like mathematics, there is increasing use of AI to like solve old age, very old questions. And there is a suggestion that this thing is already happening in philosophy. For example, to the questions like what is consciousness and what is memory, scientists and philosophers alike are using AI tools. The question of memory is specifically interesting because recently there are some papers which suggest that the way large language models are trained based upon transformers model, it generates insights on how human memory works, not the other way around. So yeah, so what we need is training humanities students on understanding technology of AI and not just using AI tools. And simultaneously, I mean, there is a need to ethicize and humanize technology itself. And I think, as has been suggested by other panelists, that we need ethical considerations for humans, living organisms, and like being in general should be at the level of programming and algorithmic design itself. The second point I want to make is a bit philosophical. It can be argued that with the advent of generative and agentic AI, there is sort of a rupture in our relationship with past. One of my favorite philosophers, Henry Bergson, he says that it is past or like memory, which makes human experience possible. And now we have more and more avenues of storing the memory. But I mean, it can be argued that our existential bond with the lived past is loosening. So there is a need to renegotiate and reconceptualize our relationship with the past. Another point is what all faculty members sort of struggle with is how to assess students, right? And we ask students to write an assignment and they chat GTP it. I mean, writing is a form of thinking. It's not an extension of thinking. It is thinking. I mean, organizing ideas is thinking. So we really need to think what are the alternative ways of assessment and evaluation that can be incorporated, given that AI is going to be there for now. And the last point which I want to make is regarding the care and ethics for AI. I just want to mention this in passing because it can seem far-fetched, but like already scientists are claiming that AI is conscious. Or some people argue that it's alternative intelligence. Don't call it artificial because it's intelligence of a different kind. If we grant that machines are conscious already or they will be, what kind of rights are we willing to give it to them? Once you give them rights, you can't take it back. And I don't think humanity wants to be on the wrong side of at least this, this one. So yeah, I mean, it seems far-fetched, but the future can be near as well. So yeah, the last point is care and ethics for AI. What kind of rights are we willing to give them? Yeah, these are the 4 points. Thank you.
We just have 6 to 7 minutes to go. Organizers are already alarming us. We have a father-son duo, Goenka family. So I request, come one by one, take 3 to 4 minutes. And आपकी choice है. हमें तो लगता है पिताजी पहले आ जाए. Please.
Just a correction. I am just his uncle.
अंकल
Yeah, I am very
अच्छा चलिए कोई बात नहीं, आप तो अंकल भी फादर के जैसे होते हैं, आप ही आ जाइए.
Yeah, almost like a fatherly figure.
ठीक है, आप आ जाइए. ठीक.
So I think a lot has been said. I would just keep it simple. I think what, in my view, India right now needs is simple things like ABCD. I call it ABCD of AI for all. So what is that? First is A is for agentic AI. Because see, we have seen it evolving. We have seen the generative AI being there for quite some time. But now you need agents who can do work for you, who just don't give you output. who does manage your life, who does everything for you, and who can understand what you need and deliver it. So that's where the agents come, and those are coming. And in fact, a lot of things we have seen agents are able to do, whether it is make a call, understand your this thing, send a order confirmation, everything end to end agents are able to do, whether it is to book a calendar, book a Uber, everything agents are able to do. So that's where we should be moving initially in terms of policy. Then what we need in India is a builders first approach. When I say builders first approach, which means builders of agent AI should be given incentive, motivation, and right kind of resources to build right things which can help the economy and help the public infrastructure. So whether it is in terms of the GPU accesses that are there, the right kind of government incentives that can be there. So that is where it is very important. Third, I would say is more of a culture native. India is, everybody is aware, is a country of multiple languages, and we have a diversity of language. So it's very important that AI speaks the culture, the language of India, not just simply English. So and it's just not even just Hindi. Why not Bengali? Why not Tamil? Why not Telugu? Why not Kannada? Why not Assamese? So all those languages AI should be able to speak. And the real magic will be when a farmer is able to negotiate prices through use of AI in his own language rather than just getting help from a chatbot. So it's able to understand and negotiate on his behalf. So that's where the AI should be reaching. Fourth is digital public infrastructure. So DPI has been there, and we have been leading in the DPI over the years, and it has enabled us use of Aadhaar, UPI, and what we call as Jam Trinity, whether it is Jandhan,
सुधीर जी,
Aadhaar.
अब भतीजे के लिए जगह छोड़ दीजिए.
Yeah. So I will just finish the E part, is the ecosystem. So we need the right kind of ecosystem to have the development of the entire agentic AI in the world. I will just finish it in a short. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, over to Udit.
Thank you, everyone. I think I'm the last one, and I'll probably try to wrap it up as soon as possible. I think a lot of things have already been covered up by most people, but I think one of the most important part is to understand that public AI doesn't demand being ethical, it demands being accountable. That's very, 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 very important, and I think that's where a lot of talks generally don't go by, right? That what is happening behind the scene, no one talks about it. Everyone is just going and using ChatGPT, typing. They're using all of these LLMs today as their personal therapist, but no one is really understanding what is happening behind the scene and how these LLMs can be extremely manipulative. They can tell you what to do, and there have been cases of people committing suicides because Gemini and similar platforms have openly told, go and die, commit suicide. Right? So those situations have happened, and what is happening behind the scene is something that no one knows about. And this is where accountability is extremely important. What kind of logs are being saved? We don't know that. What are being told to what person? We don't know that. Every single individual goes through its own challenges and problems. We don't know that, right? And this is where the accountability is extremely important, where AI needs to be completely biased. But more importantly, when such kind of situations happen, AI also becomes a lot more empathetic because that's what is really missing out with AI as of now. Few platforms are trying to solve for this, but the kind of scale at which AI right now is being used for personal, as in personal assistant, that is something that needs to be addressed before anything else, because if that doesn't get solved, we'll probably see a lot more issues, cases that we probably are unheard of, because it takes one moment of making bad decisions in your life, right? It's just that one moment. If that in one moment, if someone can just stop you, you can save a lot of millions of lives, right? So coming to India, I think one of the most important part is that we need a lot more builders than just users. Today, I think if we have about like 140 crore people, about 100 crore people are already using some form of AI, either in the form of their mobile phone, using Gemini, ChatGPT, or whatever LLMs that they want. We need more and more people to actually come and build, because this is an opportunity for our youth to come in. There are close to around 300 million youth. There are 30 crore youths right now in India. They're all consuming. We want all of them to turn into builder. That is where, again, some great opportunity has really emerged. But more than that, we need to implement something known as a TRI framework, which I call as trust, adaptability, and inclusion. So the moment we start implementing such kind of frameworks, what is going to happen is that we will not only build trust, but we will also be able to see a lot of adaptability across different regions. We also need more builders to start building locally. That is also very important. And as he was mentioning that, why not Bengali? Why there are no models around South Indian languages? Why there are no models around Marwadi? There are so many more opportunities if you target and focus on tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 cities of India. That's where the opportunity comes in. Everyone wants to just capture and everyone wants to just build for Mumbai, Delhi.
30 seconds.
So that's where the opportunity comes in, right? But again, as I mentioned, there needs to be these corporate governance, but more importantly, there are infrastructures today available. There are platforms that are providing you with GPU. Today, you can go and use platforms like Olama, download any open source model, or use transformers, go and use Google Colab on top of that and just build and train your own model. Do that, right? Like, opportunities are with you. There are models and weights available with you. What you do with them and how you build for India, that's completely up to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This event has been held under the banner of Department of Political Science, University of Delhi. To give that perspective, I would like to ask my colleague, co-convener, Professor Tiwari, for just to speak for a minute.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, our all panelists for this afternoon. We thank you on behalf of Department of Political Science, and most importantly, what is important is that why Department of Political Science today from University of Delhi. There are various departments in the university, and we do not know who all are representing at AI. Why it is important is if you all fellow colleagues who are from University of Delhi would recall that every time when our Honorable Vice Chancellor speaks about Viksit Bharat, he always mentions that it is also very important for the academic fraternity to pose as a challenge and do something at the level of the country's growth. So if we are talking about AI for all and as part of inclusive growth, we cannot talk in the absence of any academic institution or any academic collaboration. So that's how University of Delhi represents that aspect and tries to bring into that collaboration and tries to ensure that we are also part of this whole dream of Bharat, which is Viksit Bharat, and we all must contribute to this growth. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you.
Okay, Krishna, let's wind up. Come on.
Thank you so much, all the esteemed speakers. And in this conversation, we have talked about Bhashni initiative. We have talked about non-exclutory and non-rivalrous data, mandatory impact assessments, DBT, AI rights, algorithmic manipulation. And I think all these steps are must for building an inclusive and an AI that can actually bring change, that can actually serve public, in the public interest. Now, thank you so much, all the audience, for joining us. Just small reminder that whenever you're not invited into an event, and if you attend that event out of your own choice, and if a senior professor is speaking on inclusive AI only, then you should be more responsible and more respectable. Thank you so much, people. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Now we'll be waiting for a group photo. I request all the experts to please stand up for the group photo.